All right, so now we'll end up putting the VTX with the camera and the flight controller onto the frame. You'll get a little baggie of parts. We already emptied it out, but these parts here are like rubber standoffs, so they help with vibration. So in a flight controller, you want to minimize the vibrations from flight so that the computer can actively correct without a bunch of noise. So what we'll do is we'll take these rubber spacers and we'll place them on the posts that are located across the frame. Okay. All right, so now when we place this, we're going to want to make sure that the direction is correct. So there's a small arrow right there. That's forward, and we want to match that with the arrow that's on the frame, which is right here. And we'll end up taking care of this wire. So we have to kind of do everything at once. So make up the extra slack by wrapping this underneath. Bring the VTX to the top, like this. Just holding the wires underneath the frame. And we'll have everything like that. So this can kind of hang free for now, but put the cable through the bottom where the battery's going to go. And we'll line up the connections with each one of these posts. So slide in the rubber grommets into each one of the indentations on the edge of the board. This last one, pull that back and put it there like that. So now the flight controller is mounted. Again, the arrow is pointing forward, and here's the arrow on the drone. Now we'll take the FTX, or sorry, the VTX, and place it on the front, facing forward. And our screws are right here to go in. So we'll start with the front screws, and then we'll screw the VTX on later. Oof, it's gonna be tough. I'm going to start it with my hands and then screw it in later. Okay, when you put these in, you're going to want to make sure you feel that it's actually going into the plastic. So use your fingers to start them. Oop. All right, so I think the screw tip is not fine enough.
Is it right?
Yeah.
It's a Phillips in it? Right?
Mm-hmm. It's working, but this is like, that should work. Let's see, I'm going to take this off and I'm just going to test. I'm just going to test right now. Hole to fit it in is so small. Is there a...
Yeah, I get it all kinds. Give me just give me the screw and I'll. Yep.
See if there's another
Yep.
bit. Even the flathead Phillips might be better for this. Maybe what we'll do is we'll start it first.
That one feels good. Better?
Much better.
Okay.
Much better.
Oh, well, you had. That's not a Phillips head that you had. That was a star.
That was a star?
Yeah.
Was he using a star the whole time?
Yeah. Yeah. PC000. Yep. It's impressive.
All right. So it's quite challenging to get the screws into here. I'm just going to start prepping this. I'm going to put each screw in there first before I try to do it for real. That way the threads can get spread out by the screw.
Yeah.
So you can watch the screw go in. I'll probably go about halfway for tightness. And this is just to start it.
Yeah, as long as we kind of keep talking, I think that's the important part. So.
Yeah, pre-thread it to help.
You have no stress. Good luck.
That way it goes in straight and everything too. Everything is so small.
Yeah, it's not great. Yep. No worries, see you, Caitlin.
Is that a protein bar or anything to hold you?
Should be good here. So. All right. So we got them all started now. Now we can start back over. So
Never stop.
never stopped. Cut out plenty.
I'm
So
also using the right kind of head too. So.
it worked well on those other ones. All right.
What do you mean?
That one right there. Couldn't find the rubber. All right, we'll place run the battery through. The battery leads through the bottom of the frame. We'll squish some of this wire underneath to keep it out of the way for now. And line up all four. Oops. We're going to reroute this wire. So carefully bring it around. There we go. The last piece. Alright, so now we have all of the rubber spacers in, and we will go ahead and try to put our screws back in. This time it should be much easier since we started the holes already. So we're going to put the front and the back ones on because the side ones need to hold the camera down. So I'll only put the front and the back on right now. And definitely pre-threading the hole helped quite a bit. So just again, screw this down just to the point where you start seeing the rubber crush just a little bit. So just screw the screw down just to start crushing the rubber just slightly, and we can always tighten up more later.
It's a long take.
Okay. Alright, so now we'll take up the excess slack and kind of make those wires kind of hold together. This is for the canopy install, which is going to be a little difficult to line everything up, but put your canopy through, place the camera through there, make sure it sticks out a little ways. We can push the extra wire up as far as we can. And now we're going to line up the holes for the screws through and screw them into the board. I'll probably pick this up to make these screw holes go first. So I'm starting it through the camera hole there. Just preset the screws so we don't have to make that hole and the flight controller hole at the same time. All right. So just remember, forward is where the pointy part on the frame is. Make sure that's always going forward when we're installing this. And we're going to start one side. And try to make sure the screw goes straight down so it actually goes in the right spot. And I'm only going to start it a little ways, and then I'm going to line the other screw up. So this one is kind of pointing inward, so I'm going to help it with my screwdriver to point outward, so it lines up into the actual plastic hole. There we go. So now the canopy's installed. We might want to take care of this wire a little bit more. I'm just going to tuck this wire down so it doesn't get hit by a prop. Just going to push it down there. There we go. And be kind of gentle if you're using metal. If you have plastic, something plastic would be better, but okay. So everything's out of the way. Now we can install the motors. So pull all the leads down through the backside. And they're simply plug and play now into the flight controller here. Take care of the direction that they go in. So there's a small little slot right here, and also there are no metal pins showing. The metal pins point that direction. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start putting it in here. The metal pins are facing the front of the board, or into the inside of the board. Do we have some tweezers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I was just thinking use of plastic. I was like,
Yeah.
something like that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe to help get these in, you can use a pair of tweezers to start the connector like that. And you can either use your fingernail to push it in all around the board, and maybe press your finger on the screws as you push it in so that it actually goes down. I'm going to very carefully use the plastic poker here, and I'm going to push down on that side. So now the motor's well seated. The motor leads are in there. And we can do the next one. So the metal leads point in towards the board like that. And I'll just start it. Putting my finger on the screw underneath and then pushing down. Careful not to pinch the wires. There we go. And that one's seated. Now same thing for the last two motors. All right, grab it. Set it into place. Nice. And push it down. I'm going to use my fingernail just to start it again. But that kind of works. Just make sure it's set in nice and tight. And the last one. I'll try this metal pusher or plastic pusher. And every time I squeeze it, I'm putting my finger on the screw and then pushing it in. So everything looks good. You want to make sure that the wires are not inside this area because that's where the propellers go. And now we can install our props. Well, at this point we might want to connect it to Betaflight, which is the flight controller programmer, and make sure that all of our motors are connected correctly and everything's working. This is the USB that we connect to Betaflight. Once we connect it there, we can test the motor rotation, and we should do that without the props. So when you start spinning these for the first time, you don't want the props on. You just want to check the rotation. We can show you how to do that. That's it for the assembly.